Like I still get goosebumps every time I speak about it. I'm going to be brutally blunt with a lot of my thoughts so that it gets as much value as possible. So I'm going to, in all probability, try and reveal some secret sauces. So we love to hack subcultures and pop cultures, right? हमेशा बोलते हैं कि यार a lot of campaigns we do as an advertiser are campaigns we do to make our balance sheet happy. Say we are 4 of us sitting in the room together. If I want to be the best amongst the 4, मुझे ना सिर्फ मेरा बेस्ट देना है, but मुझे आपसे भी बेटर करना है, इनसे भी बेटर करना है, इनसे भी बेटर करना है. That means I'm fighting an unknown. Chill boss, you have to chill. क्यों मेहनत कर रहे हो?
Have you ever wondered what it's like to run one of India's largest full-service independent agencies, work with the biggest brands, win multiple Agency of the Year awards, and produce groundbreaking creative work consistently? White Rivers Media manages the social promotions of some of India's biggest conglomerates like Tata, Reliance, ITC, Glenmark Pharmaceuticals, Parley Agro, Astral Limited, amongst others. And from promoting blockbuster movies like Brahmastra, Gadar 2, Oppenheimer, to managing Shark Tank promotions and managing Indian collabs for international favorite influencers like Khabe and Quick Styles, White Rivers Media has done it all. I'm so glad to bring to you our guest today, Shrenik Gandhi, who's the CEO and co-founder of White Rivers Media, where we chat with him about his 12-year journey in the digital marketing industry, the highs, the lows, the hacks, and everything in between. Please welcome Shrenik Gandhi. Hi Shrenik, welcome to Aleena Dissects. Thank you so much for being here. It's an honor to have you today.
Thank you. Like I said, I'm so glad to see the progress of Dissect as a brand. I was telling you that I remember I was one of the initial followers of your page. You'd done a fantastic series when you'd launched, which was it had a hashtag where you would. Yes, Copyland, right? You were you were bashing brands who were copying other brands, and that got me kind of hooked onto your page. कि यार कौन सा next brand आने वाला है? Let's kind of check. So it was, and I've been following your journey all throughout, and I must say that I'm just so proud to see where you've reached.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And since then, I've been following you back and I've seen the journey that you have had with so many brands that you have worked with. And honestly, it's an honor to have you because I think our audience is also going to be so glad with the information that they're going to get today from you and all the work that you have done. So, Shrenik, my first question to you is that White Rivers stands for and talks about hacking subculture.
Yeah.
Can you tell our audiences what that means for you and for the agency?
Interesting. So we love to hack subcultures and pop cultures, right? So by the way, I'm before coming here, I was like, I'm going to be brutally blunt with a lot of my thoughts so that it gets as much value as possible. So I'm going to, in all probability, try and reveal some secret sauces. So yes, what is hacking subculture? So we realized India is such a cluttered market of content. There is so much content which is on the internet, on your Instagram feeds, right? But there are tribes which vibe together, right? And these tribes which vibe together form a certain part of subcultures, right? And there are larger communities which love to vibe together. They form a part of pop cultures. Let me give you 2 examples, one example of each. What is a pop culture? Say Bollywood would be a part of pop culture. Like you would have millions and millions of people in the country following certain movies, certain stars. Now what is a subculture? It's a smaller section of culture which eventually would become a pop culture. Example, anime as a subculture, right? There might be a few million people across the country of 1.5 billion people following that as a subculture. Right, so anime is one of the subcultures. Then there is streetwear. There is e-gaming. E-gaming तो खैर अभी बड़ा हो चुका है काफी. But then when we started working with e-gaming, it was a small subculture. Right. So idea being, can we curate content which resonates very very well with either the micro subculture or the macro pop culture? Okay. Right. And genuinely create content which adds value to the community. And subtly place brands there. Okay. So that's what we do.
And so how has that helped your business to hack these subcultures?
Yeah, so idea being it maneuvers, or it opens up a larger business potential, right? Because we're not hard selling, right? We can place the products well. Example, about a year and a half back, when this dance troupe, which got super viral on the internet, called as the Quick Style, right? When they visited India, right? Within 36 hours of them visiting India, they did a collab with Virat Kohli, which went absolutely viral. I think, from what I remember, about 45 million organic views on Instagram, which is a big deal, right? The next collab video we did with them, or the next video we shot with them, was in a local train, right? Where they performed on a dance number, right? Now, what had happened by then is they had become a part of the internet chatter,
Yes.
right? So we realized that, boss, ये लोग कुछ भी करेंगे, if it makes sense to that community which has been following them, the community is going to make sure it travels well, right? That's where we saw an opportunity to place brands, right? We spoke to one of the finest marketeers of our times, Aman Gupta, and his team. They identified, they resonated well with the opportunity, and they agreed for a brand placement, right? So if you go back to that local train video, you could see the brand was placed in the center of the frame, and it was visible almost all throughout the video. That reel, as of right now, is about 80 million views on Instagram.
Wow.
Right? Absolute subtle brand placement without hard selling.
True.
To in a content piece which community resonates very, very well with. So it flew.
This episode is sponsored by Miraki, which is my absolute favorite Chinese restaurant. Their Kung Pao chicken is my favorite. It is delicious. And the best part about them is their portion size. So try it for yourself and let me know what you think about it. Yeah, so you actually answered my question about, was there a gap of managing brand collaborations for international influencers?
Yeah.
You saw that gap and then you were able to so beautifully do it. Do you think there is more potential for a lot more of that?
Absolutely, yeah. So we work very, very closely with multiple international internet celebrities.
Okay.
That's how we love to call them. What we realized as a interesting opportunity statement is, with each one of them, India is amongst the top 3 geographies of theirs, right? So India becomes a country of their interest,
Yes.
right? That, coupled by the whole digital revolution which India has seen over the last few years, that coupled with the whole brand equity of India as a country going up over the past few years amongst the international community, right? These 3 things absolutely motivates a lot of international creators to come to India, right? And when they come, we have now we've curated a whole SOP driven services, where we know that what are the things which are required from their day -1 to day 0 to the time they are present in the country. What are the kind of collabs which we need to do? What are the kind of media interactions we need to get them to do? Right? And what are the things we need to do once they're back? Right?
Got
So
it.
now we have a whole SOP-driven ecosystem ready. There are, in fact, now what we've also started is a wait list. There are multiple international celebrities who want to come to India.
Wow.
Right? We've got some people coming in the month of June. There are some people in July. We already have the list curated up to August.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So because of course we can't be calling, say, 4 people together, right?
Yeah.
Because there are only a limited number of brands who would want to advertise with them.
Okay.
Right? So we're carefully placing it through festive.
Do you think those brands would increase over time? That
Of
are
course,
looking at-
of course. Once brands see, like in standard consumption, right? There will always be people who are initial hustlers, initial risk takers. In this case, boat being a fantastic example of that, right? So there will always be these brands, and then there will be brands who would want to kind of take inspiration from them. And the third set would be brands would be laggards. Laggards in the marketing philosophy would be, they've seen multiple case studies being right, and then they would want to kind of ape the strategy.
Yes.
Right, so there will always be a whole ecosystem. So I think the whole business of calling international internet celebrities in India has just started.
That's true. So, what I've seen over the years is that niching down on agency services has helped grow and stay consistent, right? Is that something you did for the business to evolve also?
Interesting question. So I think I would not say niching down. I would say having a lot of depth.
Okay.
So we didn't niche down, but we scaled our depth,
Okay.
and we learned the power of telling a no.
Okay.
Honestly, as an entrepreneur, if there's an agency owner listening to this, the biggest superpower you can have is the power of telling a no. If you, because हाँ बोलना बहुत आसान है,
Yeah.
राइट? आप प्रोस्पेक्टिव क्लाइंट की सारी बात मानना बहुत आसान है, बट इफ़ यू नो to respectfully tell a no to something which doesn't resonate well with your larger vision,
Yes.
with your larger direction as an organization, that is where your growth will come from.
Honestly, it's the thing I struggle with as an entrepreneur the most, is to be able to say no, because at the back of your head you're like, no, but you're feeling really bad
Yeah.
saying this no. But I think it's so important, and you learn it. I've learned it the hard way, that I have
Oh,
to
yeah,
say
yeah.
no to a lot of things that don't align for the long term.
Yeah, so till about 2018-19, we reached a team of about 100 odd people. I feel bad, but so okay, you can cut this part. So till about 2018-2019, a lot of our growth came in all directions. I jokingly tell internally to my leadership team कि यार हम अदरक की तरह बढ़ रहे थे, right? We are literally growing like a ginger. We're growing in all directions, right? Which is not strategic, right? Back then we kind of took a call. We took a hard call to kind of scale up in certain subcultures, pop cultures, right? And we stood true to those commitments.
Okay.
And the last 4 years tell a story, right?
Yes.
It's proof of the pudding.
And tell me something where or some things that you have said no to for the bigger picture. For example, for me, I say no to a lot of collaborations
Sure.
that don't align for me, and it's very difficult because you're saying
Yeah.
no to a lot of monetary
Yeah.
gains. So it's hard.
So like I mentioned, the wait list, right? We are telling no to multiple international celebrities who want to come right now,
Yeah.
right? Because we would want to sequence it out. We would not want to just front load, them in the Indian ecosystem, because it is going to be very easy for Indian audience to move over them,
Yes.
right? I don't want to reach a space where they say कि यार हाँ बस बहुत हो गए, right?
True.
So we would rather place it well over the next few months, over the next few quarters. So
Yes.
an opportunity like this, it's very difficult to tell a no to someone you've been seeing the content of, someone you look forward to, are inspired from, someone who has a cult following in the office, who wants to come to the country. There are brands ready to sponsor them,
Oh.
but still tell कि यार 2 महीने बाद आना.
Yeah.
It
is difficult.
हाँ.
But it'll be good for the long run.
Absolutely, yes. And of course, they also smart businessmen. They also understand, and they also respect. We've got enough and more case studies to kind of speak about in this domain, right? So I'm glad that they value that opinion, and it's been turning right for now.
Nice. So Shrenik, you've worked in this industry for over a decade now. I think 12 years it's been.
Feeling old, but huh.
No, you started young, so yeah. Tell me your favorite campaign in these 12 years that you worked on.
So I'm going to speak about a fun campaign, and I'm going to speak about a campaign which is very close to our hearts.
Okay.
Right? Fun campaign is going to be the campaign we did with iShowSpeed and Boat. The kind of fan following that guy has in India, oh my God!
Yes.
I can't believe.
Yeah.
We work, so again, tangent, right? We work so closely with Bollywood. I have not seen fandom amongst Gen Z for any Bollywood star as much as the fandom I saw for iShowSpeed.
Oh.
the kind of calls I have got, the kind of requests I have got, it can be a whole long podcast. It can be a 3-hour podcast, and
Really?
it is going to shock you. I
Oh my God.
still am in disbelief
That
on
that they have that kind of following.
Absolutely. There are, so let me give you this thing. So we'd attended a match. There was a follower who got to know that he's coming to see the match.
Okay.
Right. So he got to know via certain rumors that he's going to be attending the match. This guy also tried to contact me. I kind of spoke to him, and I requested him to not come in the match for him, because like baad mein mila denge types. But this guy, still, I was, we were in the match. I remember it was India-Pakistan match at the Narendra Modi Stadium in Ahmedabad. We were watching this match, and this 14-year-old guy walks up to me and he's like, "Hi, bhaiya." "Tu kahan se aaya?" And he was like, "I found you." And like, 125,000 people in the stadium.
Yeah.
How the hell did you find me? Right. So this guy is like, I wanted to meet Speed, so I bought tickets of all corporate boxes.
All the corporate
He
boxes.
showed me the tickets. Like, what? This guy flew in a private jet all the way to
No
Ahmedabad.
way.
Bought tickets of all the matches based on a simple rumor that Speed may be attending the match.
Oh my God.
That's one spectrum of fandom. Second spectrum of fandom, I'll tell you. So, when we were exiting the stadium, there was crazy crowd. People were kind of pouncing on Speed, literally. We managed to kind of get the car all the way up to the stadium near the lift where Speed could, just literally get into the car. We saw this guy, again, 16-year-old, maybe 15, 16-year-old. He was profusely crying. Right? Well-built man, whatever, decent clothes, etc. Was crying. तो हमने उसको साइड में लेके गए. Speed को पीछे से, we didn't want to make him meet in front of the crowd, so we kind of found a back door where Speed kind of spent a minute with him. This guy gave him a gift. All done, Speed left. We chatted with this guy. We asked him, "Bhai, क्यों रो रहा था?" This guy was like, "I missed seeing Speed in Delhi. I bought a ticket to the match. Couldn't find him in the stadium. So he'd flown into from Delhi to Ahmedabad for to see Speed. Bought ticket. Realized he couldn't find Speed. Then figured out his car park in the car parking. He said, "भैया मैं 6 घंटे से रुका हूँ. मैंने लाइफ में जितनी सेविंग की थी सारी ख़त्म कर दी ये 30 सेकंड के लिए." And he was crying because he was happy that he saw the man he loves.
Wow.
This guy, he said, मैंने कुछ खाया नहीं है, मेरे पास घर वापस आने के पैसे नहीं है. Now think of the fandom, right?
Yeah.
And think of the spectrum. There's this guy who comfortably would have spent maybe 70, 80 lakh rupees to just spend 2 minutes or a photograph with him.
Oh my God.
And the other side who doesn't have money to eat.
Yeah.
That's the spectrum of
My
fandom we'd
God.
seen. Right? So it is, like, I still get goosebumps every time I speak about it, right? So, and like I said, this is just 2 stories out of the 100 which we would have seen in those few days. So the kind of fandom for Speed was crazy. Coming back, so we realized that it's a great opportunity for brands.
Yeah.
Right, and again, one of our favorite brands, Boat. I must in fact give credit to their marketing team. They persuaded us to get Speed to India. The kind of integrations which Boat got in Speed's multiple, live stream and Instagram page, and Speed, by the way, has dozens and dozens of fan pages. Each of the fan page gets millions and millions of views.
Yes.
Right, so the kind of reach which Boat got out of it, oh my God, it is full vasool.
Yeah.
Full vasool.
Makes
So
worth it.
I'm very, very happy with the kind of, the kind of fun the campaign was, and the kind of ROI the brand got. So that is a fun campaign. Such a long answer. You can edit out some portions. And now coming to a heartwarming campaign. So we did this campaign recently. So, हमेशा बोलते हैं कि यार a lot of campaigns we do as an advertiser are campaigns we do to make our balance sheet happy, make the brand's balance sheet happy. But rarely we get an opportunity to do campaigns which actually gets on ground change. Very rarely we get an opportunity to empower the change makers using the power of content, right? So I'm going to be speaking about this campaign we did for a brand called Astral Pipes. They have a foundation called Astral Foundation, which does a lot of CSR. So they identified a village in Rajasthan called as Piplantri. Village has a very unique thing that every girl child born, they would plant about 111 trees, right, as a dedication to the girl child, right? So our team went, created a whole video. So basically the larger problem was कि आप trees plant करते थे, but गांव में पानी बहुत कम था, right? So हर साल most trees would wither, right? तो इतना अच्छा initiative था, but the initiative wasn't seeing the light of the day. Right, so I still kind of put in pipes. I think installed about 13 kilometers of pipeline to make sure the village gets enough water. And we kind of curated a very beautiful story out of it. It's also winning multiple international awards, this campaign. Wow. And we created this beautiful story and spoke about it to the world. Why I particularly love this campaign is because of the after effects this story got. So of course the campaign got a lot of appreciation across, the Chief Minister of Rajasthan felicitated this Dr. Shamsundar Paliwal and multiple other such accolades they got. In fact, Smriti Irani spoke about the campaign proactively. Vijay Shekhar Sharma spoke about the campaign. So multiple people proactively spoke about the campaign. So Dr. Shamsundar Paliwal got a lot of credit for it. But what I loved the most is Team Astral has been smartly using this film to motivate multiple other villages to do the same, to plant trees on every girl child. So marketing and what we've also curated is something called as One Kiran. Kiran being the daughter of Mr. Shamsundar Paliwal. So she'd expired because of dehydration, and that's how he kind of started this whole initiative. So Team Astral came up with this initiative called One Kiran to kind of motivate multiple other villages to plant 111 trees on every girl child's birth.
Nice.
And they are creating an entire green cover across multiple villages with mentorship of Dr. Shamsundar Paliwal.
Nice.
So, the content film became the medium to motivate, right? So, it's a film very close to our hearts.
Nice. Great. I think when you do work that impacts people,
Yeah.
It's much better than the revenue it generates.
हाँ, मतलब पैसे कमाने वाले तो बहुत अपॉर्चुनिटी होते हैं, right? So, but दिल जीतने वाले बहुत कम होते हैं. So,
yeah, it was going to be the
yes,
tagline now
yeah.
for our episode. Okay, so my next question, Shrenik, is that you work on a lot of different kinds of brands.
Yeah.
You do a lot of different work for shows. You do a lot of different work for movie promotions. How are they different from each other in terms of marketing?
So, movies and brands?
Say movies versus brands. How are the promotions or marketing different?
यार so movie में ना बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग चीज़ होती है. सबसे पहले तो it's a 4-week or a 6-week campaign.
Okay.
A normal movie, right? A movie like a Brahmastra would be a 6-month campaign, but average movie which is like a potential 100 crore, 150 crore movie would be about a 6-week campaign at max. So we have to launch a brand, curate buzz, and get the audience to buy the product all in a period of 6 weeks.
Okay.
Which may not be true for, say, a crockery brand or a sound brand or any other brand, right? You get maybe a year to build the brand.
Yes.
And then brand loyalty and other things. So everything of that is literally put in 6 weeks, right? So there's a lot of pressure. There are a lot of activities which are done in those 6 weeks to to motivate people to buy. Having said that, the bigger challenge being in the first 5 or the 5.5 weeks of the 6-week campaign where we have to motivate people to buy, we cannot sell.
Yeah, true.
Okay, think about your last movie going experience. Which was the last movie you saw?
I saw Crew.
Crew. And do you remember which day of the week you'd seen the movie?
I think it was a Friday.
फ्राइडे. आपने मूवी देखने का प्लान कब बनाया रहेगा? फ्राइडे का, नॉट बिफोर अ थर्सडे और अ वेडनेसडे.
Like 4 hours before.
एग्जैक्टली राइट. व्हाट इफ आई टेल यू टुडे कि यार 3 हफ्ते बाद क्रू मूवी आने वाली है, इतने बजे के ये शो में जाना, ये सीट पे बैठना, यू नॉट बाय.
That's not possible.
एग्जैक्टली राइट. सो द whole thing about movie marketing is we have to create a brand in 6 weeks but not sell till about last day.
Okay.
Right, so that's a very different challenge which movie marketing has vis-a-vis brands.
But won't you know overall how many people would potentially be
Yeah,
buying?
of course, and that's where fandom of multiple celebrities come in, right? So we should know how to maneuver the fandom to kind of motivate them to buy. We have to kind of curate the right set of interest,
Yes.
right? We have to create the right set of conversations, right? At times controversies, but we have to create the right set of positioning and the pull, so as to make sure that when tickets are available to buy, they go proactively buy.
Yes, makes sense. Okay, so now I'm going to move to the agency side of it and running that.
Yeah.
Okay, something that I've seen across the board happen over the years is that our employee churn rate is very, very high, right? Employees keep moving agency to agency every 6 months, 1 year. How have you grown your brand? Because you need to be consistent in the work that you're doing while having these employees move from one agency to another.
Interesting question. So I think one of the larger initiatives we took in the last 4.5 years was focus on our culture. Okay. Right. We curated the right hierarchies. We curated the right set of leadership team and the right set of processes to make sure that there is absolute right expectation setting which happens on day 0 or day -1 at times. So that is the first key, right, where there has to be right expectation setting. That's point 1. Point 2, we curated a culture where what we tried to do was we created a culture of being the most, right? There is a very thin line of difference between being the most and being the best, right? Everyone aspires to be the best, right? सबको बेस्ट बनना है, बट यार बेस्ट बनने में सबसे बड़ा प्रॉब्लम क्या है पता है? से वी आर 4 of us sitting in the room today, right? If I want to be the best amongst the 4, मुझे ना सिर्फ मेरा बेस्ट देना है, बट मुझे आपसे भी बेटर करना है, इनसे भी बेटर करना है, इनसे भी बेटर करना है. That means I'm fighting an unknown, right? When I fight an unknown, there are higher chances of failure.
Okay.
Correct? When you be the most, that means मैं अपना most बनूंगा. I will try and be the most I can be. Most बनते बनते best बन गए, तो it's a great byproduct to have. So we kind of put in this core element in our culture of aspiring to be the most and being the best as a byproduct, right? So that change in philosophy made us a happy place to work, right? Where there weren't illogical expectations, where there weren't pressures to be the best. There will always be a pressure to be the most, right? And I strongly believe pressure is privilege, right? Of course, good pressure, right? Because at the right age, if you get the right set of pressure, right? Of course, not unreasonable pressure, but the right set of pressure at the right age would make you a sharper individual, will make you a sharper professional. So if there is a right set of pressure to be the most, you end up becoming a great professional. More than that, you end up becoming a great person, right? So that's one shift in philosophy we did to make ourselves a preferred place to work.
And I can vouch for that because I know multiple people that work in the agency since I deal with them. And I have to say, they all stand for the philosophy
I'm
that
glad.
White Rivers has.
Yeah.
So, related question to that is, once when I was in your office, your
Yeah.
team was telling me that the culture over here is such that anybody can walk into
Yeah.
Shrenik's office and speak to them and address anything that they want to. And while that is such a great initiative, and I think that's what makes you stand out from the other agencies, do you think there are still drawbacks to being that accessible?
Yeah, I think the benefits far outweigh the drawbacks, right? Like if यार मैं आपको चलो एक सीक्रेट सॉस बताता हूँ. हमने ना मल्टीपल कल्चर प्रैक्टिसेस वैसे सेट किए which say Mitesh or me, for us, we actually made a list of what would be our dream place to work if we were working in a company, if we were working in an agency, right? So we made a whole checklist of line items which would make, the agency a dream agency to work with. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to kind of mark on each of them.
Okay.
Being accessible to every single person, be it the intern or be it a leader, was one of the part of the checklist, and it has been working in our favor. And I think more than that, it helps us be grounded, right? And it gives us a reality check like no other, right? And especially when working with Gen Zs, right? They are brutally honest, right?
Okay.
It is so much fun to kind of hear from them and hear honest, direct comments from them, which help us shape certain brand campaigns for better, help us shape the organization for better, right? And more than that, it helps us know our extended family better, right? So,
is that the biggest difference between Gen Z and millennial employees since you've worked with both?
yeah, so I think 70% of our audience or 70% of our employees are Gen Z.
Okay.
Yeah, so our average age is about 24, 25. So, like it's good fun working with Gen Z, right? They are a lot more informed. They are a lot more aware, and they know when to use the awareness and when to use the information in the right way, in the right quantity, right?
Nice.
So yeah, it's a great skill set which they have.
Nice.
Not that millennials don't have it. I don't want to put out a controversial statement, but frankly, I believe, Gen Z generally ज़्यादा aware होते हैं.
Yes, that's true though. I've seen it. But coming to the agency part of it, now that everybody is using AI, I want to get a perspective on an agency founder on incorporating AI in your agency.
Yeah, so I look at, so again, I'm a big believer of a lot of Japanese principles of management.
Okay.
One of the principle I believe strongly in is Kaizen. Kaizen is the art of continual improvement over a period of time.
Okay.
Nothing changes overnight, right? Everything is a process, right? I look at AI from that lens, which means, when AI came in, in the in mainstream, a lot of people were putting out radical statements कि यार अभी तो इनकी ज़रूरत नहीं है, अभी तो ये नहीं है. I believe, in fact, we started using, some AI tools, I think as early as 2019-20, right? And curated some campaigns. I believe AI should be used across the organization in smallest possible ways to be a growth hack for success.
Okay.
Right? It could be as simple as a content writer using a certain smaller AI tool for better efficiency, or a designer using generative fill in a Photoshop for faster output, or it could be anything across the board for faster optimization and growth hack. Right? If we can put in a culture of encouraging growth hacks using the power of AI, the agency can grow a lot. If you look at AI as something which is going to be a magic wand to change the fate of the agency, it is not going to be.
Yeah.
Or it will take a lot of time. Right? So I think there are a lot of optimizations which agency founders can do using the power of AI. To begin with, by the way, I'm going to recommend a course on this platform. I did a course with NAS Daily,
Okay.
which frankly I was like, यार दुनिया को हम ज्ञान देंगे कि आप ये सब करो, उससे सबसे पहले
First
I should
have to
learn,
learn,
right?
yes.
So I enrolled for a 6-month course with a 3-month course with them, which was 10x your productivity using power of AI, right? And a lot of these things which I'm saying right now, I learned in that course, right?
Okay.
Wherein there were so many micro hacks spoken about, right, to scale your productivity. So I think one should look at AI from that perspective.
True. And I think that you have this thing that founders have, is the ability to be so grounded that you're still learning. I
Oh,
think
absolutely. For me, the biggest red flag in an interview is even before I actually meet the candidate is if someone writes digital marketing expert. Boss, no one is.
Nobody is an
Nobody
expert.
is, bro. Nobody is.
an expert.
So I'm learning. I think it would be ambitious statement to make if I say I know 0.1% of digital.
Yeah, you think so?
Yeah, absolutely. There's so much to
There's
learn.
so much
so
to
much
learn.
to learn.
Yes, true. Any kind of tools you help your agency to help with their kind of work?
Yeah, so while of course there are multiple tools and they are available on a simple Google search, I would rather speak about, I'll rather take the platform to speak about the power of planning your day as well.
Okay.
यार एजेंसी लाइफ में ना बहुत चीज़ें अनप्लान्ड होती हैं.
Yes.
ठीक है, बहुत चीज़ें लास्ट मोमेंट आती है, बहुत अपॉर्चुनिटीज़ लास्ट मोमेंट आती है, बहुत मोमेंट मार्केटिंग अपॉर्चुनिटीज़ लास्ट मोमेंट आती है, राइट? But what I've realized, and this has come from multiple conversations across multiple people, is the days of most people, at least most which I have spoken to across multiple agencies, aren't well planned and well organized.
Yes.
I think one should start making the right to-dos, right? One hack which I've realized for myself is every single Friday over the last few years, I have made my to-do list for the next entire week.
Okay.
And I would go to the depth of writing minutest of the things in it. If, say, example, I know it's going to be an office inauguration which I may not be able to attend. Example, right, on a particular day, say 15th, right, and if I'm writing a to-do on a Friday, I would go to the extent of even drafting that text and keeping it ready.
Okay.
So in the week, I have to go all out and just shoot.
Yeah.
Right. So and I've tried multiple tools and Asana to multiple other tools. My personal hack or my personal favorite is a Google Sheet.
Yeah.
I love it.
And Google Calendar.
Best. Right. So I would have every single day of the week. It's a fun joke internally that we have 3 halves in the day because we work beyond the normal 8, at least Mitesh and me. So I have my 3 halves planned, and I would know what are the things I'd want to do on a Monday first half, Monday second half, and Monday evening. Okay. I would also have it written कि यार Friday second half में क्या-क्या चीज़ें करनी है on the earlier Friday.
Nice.
I'll try and organize the day to that extent, right? क्योंकि क्या होता है ना कि अगर हमारा 50% डे भी हमने ऑर्गेनाइज कर लिया तो बाकी 50% इनएफिशिएंसी सेंड कर लेंगे, राइट? बिकॉज देयर आर लॉट ऑफ थिंग्स व्हिच कैन बी वेल प्लान्ड, राइट? इन द होल गाइस ऑफ द फैक्ट दैट वी हैव अ लॉट ऑफ अनप्लान्ड थिंग्स. If you don't organize your day well, I think it's not the right thing.
That's true. But I do it on a daily basis. Like, okay, tomorrow's to do because it's so hectic.
Correct.
That you never know what's going to come up like in the next week.
Yeah. So one of the reasons why I do it on a Friday is I don't like to work on weekends.
Wow.
And
as an agency founder,
I love
doing
it.
this.
I love it when my team also doesn't have to work, and most people we encourage to not work. Of course, our nature of business being Bollywood, there are times when certain Bollywood teams have to work over the weekend, but we make sure that they are well compensated with comp ops and other things. But I love it when my teams do not have to work it over the weekend. So on Fridays, generally I stretch and try and plan for the entire week, right? So you can relax on a weekend and chill So that's what I like to
See,
do.
agency founder, 12 years in the business is telling you that you can chill. So it's
You
not
have
possible.
to chill, boss. You have to chill. क्यों मेहनत कर रहे हो इतना?
Because people say that agency life is so hectic, you have to always be online, you always have to answer clients, that it's difficult to then take a break.
So, okay, let me speak about another hack.
Okay.
And this I learned from a industry colleague, Naveen. He's leading the Delhi branch at Lentas. He told me that, and now we've also made it like a hack within the organization, and probably a lot of agency founders listening to this can kind of use this. यार आप कोई भी ब्रांड के लिए काम करो ना, any brand you work with, try and have these 3 F's which I'm about to say: fun, fame, fortune, in that chronology, right? Brands which give you each of these 3. Fun as in you should enjoy working on the brand, fame as in वो काम से नाम होना चाहिए, and fortune is of course you want to make money with the work, right? So any brand which gives you each of these 3 is a brand you have to hold tightly. Any brand which gives you 2 of these 3, you have to figure out ways in which you can enable the third. Example, अगर एक कोई ब्रांड है जो आपको काम करने में बहुत मज़ा आ रहा है और काम करने से पैसे मिल रहे हैं बट नाम नहीं हो रहा है, सो कैन यू enable ways in which you can create the right case studies to create the right fame, right? अगर आपको काम में इनफ पैसे नहीं मिल रहे हैं बट मज़ा आ रहा है और नाम हो रहा है, तो कैन यू क्रिएट वेज इन विच यू कैन गिव बेटर ROI टू एनेबल फॉर्चून, राइट? तो फन, फेम, फॉर्चून, तो तीनों मिल रहा है वो तो संभाल के रखो, 2 मिल रहा है उसमें तीसरा एनेबल करने को ट्राई करो. कोई भी ब्रांड में आपको सिर्फ एक ही चीज़ मिल रही है, दैट शुड बी द फर्स्ट ब्रांड यू शुड फायर व्हेन यू फाइंड अ ब्रांड विच इज़ गोइंग टू गिव यू 2 or 3, राइट? सो दैट्स अ हैक.
Okay.
एंड आपके पास कोई ब्रांड है जो आपको तीनों F में से एक भी नहीं दे, तो उसको चौथा F बोलना है. Right?
What great advice.
Yes. So very very simple hack of enjoying what you do. So yes,
Yeah.
please,
True.
that is something I love people
But
to
Shrenik, since we're talking to agency founders, okay. Now what happens to early stage founders is that they have this churn rate amongst clients. So
Yeah.
clients would eventually leave, but
Yeah.
you still have your employees to pay.
Yeah.
How do you maintain your balance sheet at that time?
Yeah, so again, I'm going to credit a lot of people who've given us advice. So I'm going to credit Rajiv,
Okay.
Rajiv, the ex-founder of What Consult.
Yes,
Um, Rajiv Dhingra, of course. So he gave us a great hack in early stages of our career. Is कि यार, and this he loves to call it a Sindhi hack.
Okay.
Right. So the hack he gave was कि यार, your retainer revenues, okay, should be equal to or more than your salaries, rent, and other expenses combined.
Together at all times.
Generally, you have to try to do that.
Okay.
पैसे fundamentally, okay, another hack. If any founder is thinking कि मैं रिटेनर से इनफ पैसे बना के एजेंसी चला लूँगा, let me burst the myth, वैसे नहीं होता है. You will never be able to build a fortune with retainers. For sure. Enough and more case studies to prove, and if anyone wants to talk to me on why with numbers, I'll be very happy to do that.
Okay.
But TLDR, रिटेनर से फॉर्चून नहीं बनेगा. पैसे बनते हैं शॉर्ट टर्म प्रोजेक्ट से. I look at retainer as an opportunity to have top of mind recall with our clients, right? आप आप अपने क्लाइंट के फ़ोन में 10 बार आपका नोटिफिकेशन जा सकता है, आप अपने क्लाइंट के टॉप ऑफ माइंड रिकॉल पे हो सकते हैं, और अगर वो तीनों F सेटिस्फाई कर रहा है तो देयर आर इनफ एंड मोर प्रोजेक्ट्स विच यू कैन वर्क ऑन टू क्रिएट फॉर्चून or create further fortune, right? So please don't look at retainer from a narrative कि आप बहुत बड़ा बिजनेस बना लोगे. रिटेनर से नहीं बनता है, right? So that's why retainer should suffice your expenses. ठीक है, worst case 80% of your expenses, right? अगर आपका 100 रुपये का रिटेनर है, ठीक है, आप मोटा मोटी आपके 120 रुपये से ज़्यादा एक्सपेंसेस नहीं होने चाहिए, करेक्ट? आपने वो संभाल लिया. एंड अगर आपने वो जो मैंने पहले वाला पॉइंट बोला, फन, फेम, फॉर्चून, ये 2 सेट ऑफ थिंग्स आपने संभाल ली, I think theoretically there is no reason to scale. Like no reason to not scale.
Yeah.
आप for sure आगे बढ़ोगे.
Yeah, because I've seen a lot of agencies become stagnant at a certain point with
Yeah.
just having retainers, and then they ask that, you know, what should we do?
Yeah.
But I think a great hack is to take on projects that will be able to give you that push financially, so
Correct.
that you can sustain if anything happens.
Absolutely. And also go back one point now. So if आपके काम से enough नाम बनता है, fun आप and आपको काम का मजा आ रहा है, so there is enough fun and enough fame, I think there is no reason why you would not be able to scale that brand.
Eventually, yes.
Right. Also another hack which I have seen is and a lot of big agencies also have done this mistake where they have put certain clients at more than 10% of their revenue. So another simple hack being no client in your books, no single client in your books should be more than 10% of your revenue. राइट क्योंकि वो जब चला जाएगा ना, अगर से 30% रेवेन्यू है आपका एक क्लाइंट से, राइट, एंड वो क्लाइंट जब चला गया तो वो 30% फिल करने में बहुत मेहनत लगेगी, राइट. देयर विल बी अ लॉट ऑफ बैकलॉग. 10% इज फिलेबल, राइट. सो नाउ व्हाट इफ you know there are founders who are listening to this have say certain brands which are 15, 18, 20 in their books. So what you need to do is you don't need to tell them a no, but what you need to do is figure out ways in which you scale your books enough by taking up smaller projects across multiple other clients so as to get the topmost client to 10 or below, right. So कोई भी क्लाइंट अगर आपका 100 रुपये का टोटल बिजनेस है, 10 रुपये से ज़्यादा आपके बुक्स में कंट्रीब्यूट नहीं करना चाहिए.
Oh, nice, but it's so tempting to get the bigger clients to fill the gap. But then, yes, the loss is too big.
Absolutely.
Or then you cover up by getting more.
That is what I'm telling. ना तो आप if at all you've reached a place where एक client 15 या 20 रुपये वर्थ का रेवेन्यू शेयर है आपके 100 रुपये के बुक में, तो आप वो 15-20 को 10 पे मत लेके आओ, आप अपने 100 को बढ़ाने को ट्राई करो.
Yeah, true. You'd rather increase that.
Yes, absolutely.
So now we're going to talk about awards. Okay, you have won so many awards, and congratulations on those, and multiple agency of the years. Okay, so 2 questions on that. How does it boost your morale and your team's morale, and also does it actually impact revenue?
So again, I think everyone loves awards. ठीक है, मतलब everyone. Okay, let me clarify. Everyone loves awards which are based on merit.
Yes.
We only and only apply to awards which are absolutely based on merit, right? I think awards is a great client acquisition strategy, and awards is a great HR retention strategy, people retention strategy, because one, of course, a lot of clients aspire to win awards, and when they see us winning awards, they kind of want to kind of give us business, right? So I've had briefs where CMOs have told कि यार बाकी लोग पिच कर रहे हैं, बट आप वॉक इन करो अगर आप आना चाहते हो तो, क्योंकि आप हमें अवार्ड जिता के दोगे.
Is that the basis of why they give you a retainer?
Not always, but there are some clients which we won because there are some clients which we won because we were preferred over other agencies because of the potential of award wins we can give.
Nice.
Right. Now speaking about the people culture, again, I'm not telling there's anything bad in it. Of course, award wins come on the fundamentals of merit, right? तो कई बार ब्रांड को एस्पिरेशन होता है अवार्ड विनिंग काम करने का, बट एजेंसी के डीएनए में नहीं होता अवार्ड के लिए अप्लाई करना, तो फिर वो मिसमैच होता है, राइट. सो इन दोज क्लाइंट्स वी बिकम लाइक अ प्रेफर्ड पार्टनर. Speaking about the culture narrative, I think of the last award which any of you would have won, right? Think of the joy which your parents would have looking at the awards. Wouldn't they put it out in the extended family on WhatsApp? Chote mein chota award, right? That joy is priceless. True. And you would want to stick on to an organization which gives you that joy which is beyond salary. So awards become a great people and culture tool. More than tool, I think it becomes a great culture enabler for retention.
Nice. Different way of looking at it.
Absolutely. Okay. And I encourage a lot of entrepreneurs to participate in awards because the benefits you get by winning awards is, I think I can't quantify in words, right? It is priceless.
That's true. Okay,
You
so
should
now
start an award soon.
we're working on it. So
Yes.
now I'm announcing it that we're working on something. I wanted to also ask you that a lot of brands today are using Shark Tank as a platform to be able to get exposure.
Yeah.
And since you also work very closely with Shark
Yeah.
Tank, what advice would you give to founders that are looking at this kind of a collaboration with Shark Tank?
Yeah, so collab नहीं होता. You have to earn your place to be on the tank,
Yes.
right? There are a few dozen thousand applicants which they would generally get, right? And only a certain few dozen would have opportunity to present, right? तो सबसे पहले तो अगर आप वो शॉर्टलिस्ट हो चुके हो उसमें, that in itself is a big deal, right? That means you have strong substance. My advice to brands or startups who go the Shark Tank route and eventually come in the tank and succeed, not succeed, whatever, but at least come in the tank. I think you should look at Shark Tank as an opportunity to advertise, which you're not going to get over the next 2 years. 10 या 15 minute worth of advertisement space on a national TV channel would cost you bloody crore rupees or a few crore rupees. आप उतने पैसे एक टीवी चैनल पे फोरसेबल फ्यूचर में नहीं डालने वाले, राइट? सो सबसे पहले तो यार मेक श्योर यू पिच सुपर वेल. सेकेंड, डू नॉट एक्सप्लॉइट द प्लेटफॉर्म. The platform is much more bigger than a lot of individual organizations who go there. We've seen recently where some startups were sent notices to because they were wrongfully using content of the channel. The channel owns the IP. Channel is in the business of IP, right? तो उनका काम होता है, उनके पास बड़ी, in all probability they have largest teams to make sure people don't misuse their IP. So a lot of startup founders, just to generate that quick buck, would extract certain content from the channel, use it not in the best official way, with which they get penalties which are irreversible, right? Which would cause damages in compounding effect. So वो मत करियो, right? So use the platform well. Any kind of promotions you do after Shark Tank, do it in consultation with the IP owners and do it right. They would give you advices to scale rather than you finding negative growth hacks to have a short scale. So that's going to be my advice.
Nice. So Shrenik, what advice would you give to freelancers in the industry? Because there's a lot of chatter about whether you should have retainer clients or whether you can do project basis. So I think while of course freelancing is a matter of choice, I believe there is a lot of potential to collaborate with other freelancers. You should look at other freelancers as your partners and not as competition. Can you figure ways in which, say, if you are freelancing in copy, can you figure out a equally good copy, equally good designer, or maybe equally good art person or someone else, and collaborate and pitch together to multiple brands? I think the bigger problem with the freelancer ecosystem is the community operates in disjointed manner. Please understand, compounding is the eighth wonder of world. The real scale of money you can only make in compounding, right? So when two forces collaborate, when 1 + 1 = 3, that is when the real scale comes in. So if you're a freelancer listening to this, if you are someone who's just starting off listening to this, try and find someone who matches your skill set, does things which are complementing to you in nature, not competing to you in nature. Collaborate and co-pitch for projects. That is going to give you scale like no other. So that's going to be my advice. Yeah, I think that's so true for everybody across the industry.
Yeah.
Not only freelancers, I think even as agencies,
Correct.
we collaborate with each other. Even as influencers, we collaborate with each other. So I think that's how the ecosystem grows and you
Absolutely.
grow from it. Yeah. So, but having said that, I have a question in a situation. Okay. So there have been times, and specifically one situation, there has been a client who has told me, yeah, we have less followers, please just like buy followers. And to which I said, no, but that's not
Yeah.
right, and that's
Yeah.
going to affect your engagement. And they were very adamant on buying the followers. And then I said no to that. So tell me, how do you tackle a situation in which a client tells you to do something that you don't stand for?
यार सो सबसे पहले तो इनपुट में ही वी नीड टू द टॉप फनल जो होता है ना, टॉप फनल में ही वो राइट एक्सरसाइज होनी चाहिए वेयर वी ओनली कोलैबोरेट विद क्लाइंट्स वी कैन एसोसिएट विद एंड वी कैन स्टैंड विद, right? So if your top funnel is right, of course your bottom funnel generally is going to be right, but then there are times when you might take up brands which may not, right? तो उस केस में आप क्या करोगे? You would go down, try and understand the reasoning. Why do you need followers? जैसे आपके उसमें था, right? Is it because the CEO of that brand wants followers? Could you potentially pitch a session to the CEO where say potentially you pitch him some LinkedIn engagement ideas?
Okay.
सो यू नो ट्राई एंड गेट टू द फंडामेंटल कोर. जैसे आपने अभी जो बताया कि उसको फॉलोअर चाहिए थे, राइट? फॉलोअर चाहिए बिकॉज ही नीड्स अ सर्टन फेम, ही नीड्स अ सर्टन वैलिडेशन. वैलिडेशन देने के बहुत और तरीके हैं विच आर एथिकल इन नेचर, विच आर ऑर्गेनिक, और विच आर इवन इफ इट इज़ ऑफिशियल पेड, देयर आर अदर वेज इन विच दैट कैन बी गिवन. कैन यू गो टू द कोर root of why is something required and try and solve for that, rather than reasoning out and telling a no for something they want. If you can manage to do that, great. If they're open to listen to those ideas, great. Try and convince, reconvince, reconvince, but don't take up something which your soul is not going to be happy with.
Yeah, true. You should say no to.
There's always a fourth F.
Like you said before. Okay, so Shrenik, so many questions. I can ask you more, but I will do one last. Okay. Since you are running this agency for so long, if you had to restart running an agency in today's time, considering the market is very different, what would you do?
So, and again, I think this can also be a hack for agency entrepreneurs listening to this. Don't be scared of kharcha.
Okay.
Don't be scared of hiring people. Again, I'm going to compliment another agency founder who gave me this advice almost 10 years back. His name is Ashish Tripathi, runs a fantastic media company called as Auburn. We've done multiple projects together, and he told me early days of our career that you scale up your expenses in the right way, in the most strategic way, income will follow. So if I were to look back, like frankly, White Rivers पहले 8 सालों में 100 तक पहुंचा और लास्ट 4 सालों में 100 से 500 पहुंचा, राइट? सो वी स्केल्ड अप एंड दैट लेड टू अ लॉट ऑफ ग्रोथ. सो डोंट फियर स्केल. India has a lot of potential. India is a market to be. Don't be scared to hire more than what you can afford. Of course it has to be strategic, of course it has to have a business purpose, but if you think that there is a strategic need, there is a business purpose, ये दोनों चीज़ है, तो don't be afraid, because business बहुत है इंडिया में. There is enough and more business if you do it right, if your ethics are in the right place, if your creativity is in the right place, and if your desire for ROI is in the right place, तो आप स्केल बहुत ईजिली कर सकते हो. स्केल से डरो मत. सो माई एडवाइस टू माई सेल्फ इफ आई वर टू रीस्टार्ट इज गोइंग टू बी, डोंट बी अफ्रेड ऑफ स्केल. हमें बहुत मेहनत लगी 100 तक पहुंचने में, बट हमने मतलब बहुत डर लगा था 100 तक पहुंचने में, राइट? व्हेन वी रियलाइज कि यार it's okay to hire. It's okay to hire. A lot of agency founders listening to this for sure would be having a problem. कि यार मेरा experience 5 साल का है, मैं 10 साल के बंदे को कैसे hire करूँ? Most people, and there is no answer on Google for this, right? You would not, right? My answer to you, or my hack to you, at least something which I've learned is, and this also applies to myself if I were to restart the agency, it's okay to hire or interview people who are smarter, bigger and more expensive than who you are. It is only going to lead to a lot more scale. right? It is only going to lead to scale which you can't do yourself, right? So it's important to grow together. So
Yes, which is why I associate and collaborate with people that are so much more senior, even though
Yeah.
it's very scary because you don't have as much information as them. But
Correct.
that's how you will learn.
correct
That's the only way you'll learn.
I think कोई तो एक ब्रांड का कैंपेन था, पूछने में क्या चाहता है, right?
Yes.
It's okay, ना बोलेंगे ना. So मतलब don't be,
the worst.
don't be afraid to hire more expensive people than your average salary. In fact, another advice for myself would be figure stop losses. So again, I'm a Gujarati, so I've seen people in share market. I've grown up with people from share market, right? So one thing which they always teach is कि एक stop loss होना चाहिए,
Okay.
right? So on hack we realized early on, at least in the last 5-6 years, is we have stop loss in terms of money and time. So we do multiple projects which are, just for example, say a 10 lakh and a 3 month, कि या तो 10 लाख रुपए वेस्ट होंगे या 3 महीने वेस्ट होंगे, दोनों में से एक पहुंच गए तो हम बंद कर देंगे प्रोजेक्ट,
Oh, okay.
right? So figure your stop losses. Like if you're an agency founder, if you made say a certain portion of profit in the last year, can you say figure 10% of that profit for multiple such stop loss worthy assignments in the year, which is going to give you non-linear growth. As an agency founder, if you're focused on linear growth of the organization, आप बहुत कम scale पे grow कर पाओगे. You have to figure opportunities in which you grow in non-linear fashion, which will only come by such experiments where you are willing to lose a certain money or time if it doesn't work.
Shrenik, you have given such great advices today. I think it's going to be so useful and helpful for the whole community at large at Social Media Dissects. So thank you so much for
Pleasure.
doing this with us and giving us so much of your insights and your time.
Thank you. I really wish a lot of people take this advice and it is like फायदा होना चाहिए लोगों को, तो it's worth it.
Yes, of course. So stay tuned for more such information and more such episodes with leaders who have achieved so much. And I'll see you in the next one.